When dealing with a falsehood, you're faced with two options. You can accept it or you can reject it. The basis upon which we take one of these actions is a product of our critical thinking capabilities and a desire to know what is true instead of confirming our bias. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. On Brainstorm, we choose the hard truths over the comforting lies. Reason, compassion, skepticism. This is the Brainstorm Podcast.
Hi and welcome. I couldn't hear myself for a second. Hi and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast Skeptic Studio, the interview portion of the Brainstorm Podcast where we talk to a variety of folks with the intent to spread critical thinking, compassion, and skepticism. I'm Cory, and my panel tonight are Lisa. Hello. Friend of the show, Dan.
Yo.
Our guest host, Sarah.
Hello.
And of course, the always amazing Dave.
Hey.
We're broadcasting live from Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan, and today is September 28th, 2018. Tonight's guest is a well-known atheist YouTuber and leader of the Cult of Dusty, Dusty Smith. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, how's it going? No problem. Thanks for having me. Love you guys already.
Sweet.
Which one of us do you love most?
Of course.
Yeah, that's a hard one. The female voice, obviously.
There's two of us, too.
Or there's two of us. Well,
I know we all sound alike. I'm just mad at you now. No, I'm kidding.
So I guess a good place to start is a bit of your background in case people don't already know it. Did you grow up religious?
I did. I grew up in Mississippi, which is the most religious state. I grew up Pentecostal in a really poor area. And obviously when you grow up Pentecostal, you don't really have much of a choice in it. Wasn't given much of a decision. I'm just going to be a Christian. That's just what's going to happen to you. And of course, when everybody you know, love, and who's taking care of you your entire life tells you something's true, you have no reason to not believe them. You have no reason to think they're lying because they're not lying. They think it's true themselves, and they think they're doing the best for you. So it's really hard to get out of that cult when you're engrossed in it your entire life. But eventually I did when I was in my 30s. A friend of mine who became an atheist from watching the Evil Science channel started trying to teach me about evolution. Fuck that guy. And so I had to go out and prove that he was wrong. And long story short, I've been one of the most prominent atheists on YouTube for the last 10 years. So that's my background.
What got you doing the YouTube thing?
Well, I became an atheist, of course, first. I didn't jump right into atheism. I went from Christianity, and I was like, well, if Christianity's not true, there's still probably a God out there somewhere. One of these religions has to be right. So I started researching all the religions. I researched, Islam and Buddhism, although I don't know if you consider Buddhism a religion or not, but for the sake of this argument, I will. And even Scientology, New Ageism, I looked into everything before I realized it's all complete bullshit. There's no evidence for any of it. And if I really have a logical mind, I'm incapable of believing in things without evidence. So I saw guys like the Amazing Atheists doing their thing on YouTube, and I was like, well, that guy can do it. I can fucking do it. So I just started doing it, and I did it. And 10 years later, I'm still doing it.
You actually can make a living doing YouTube?
Oh, yeah. I've been making a living off YouTube for at least 8 years now, I would say. It's my full-time job.
It's not bad.
Holy crap. No, I'm
too bad.
I don't know that I've ever met somebody who makes a living off YouTube before.
Oh, yeah. It's the least amount of money I've ever made off the internet, but I used to make a lot more money, but that was in porn. So it's a downgrade from porn.
I think you should maybe qualify that, because when people are thinking of making money in porn, they're thinking of something that you did not do.
No, I've never even met a porn star in my life, but I used to run some of the first porn pay websites on the internet. I was one of the founders of that whole system, and so I did that for quite a while as a Christian.
You wrote a book about it, didn't you?
I did write a book about it. Yeah,
I just assumed not as a Christian.
No, it was as a Christian. Actually, I
that's more impressive.
Completely shut my country. I shut my whole company down because I was guilty about it. I was like I made over $1 million. I made like $1.5 million doing it. And I just shut the company down completely and walked away from it because I felt guilty as shit. I felt like I was sinning against God. So I just left all that money on the table and walked away.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to ask more questions. Was it Christian porn or was it just general porn?
No. It was hardcore as you can get.
Okay.
You know?
But did the girls
I
wear
wanted to know what it
crucifixes?
was. I needed a description of Christian porn, but if it just...
Yeah, that does exist, but no, my porn was not Christian porn. It was mostly facials, so not really, actually. But the surprising thing is most of the other webmasters I knew were also Christian, so we're just all a bunch of hypocrites. And you can really justify anything to yourself. And so I was basically like, well, God wants me to have this money. I mean, if that's not me getting it, it's going to be somebody else, some other fucking perverted loser that's going to do bad things with it. At least I can get this money to do good things with it, which I didn't, but that's what I thought anyway.
Well, you know, in the Bible, it does always talk about the Holy Spirit coming on to people, so it really kind of all makes sense.
Jesus really wants to be inside you, that's for sure. So
you mentioned on a Facebook post the other day that your dad was really proud of you for your success. Did he know the extent of what you were doing?
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad was an atheist. He wasn't around much. I was raised by my mom, who was very, very religious, but my dad was like the black sheep of his family, and he was not around a whole lot. But he was a lifelong atheist, so yeah, he was really proud of the whole porn thing. He thought it was cool as shit, and he was happy to see that I was an atheist, too. Right before he died, I became an atheist, but he never lived to see the Cult of Dusty, unfortunately. He would have been really proud of that, I think. But, oh well. I'm sure he's in heaven looking down upon me, really pleased with the whole thing.
Did he get like a free subscription?
No.
Was that why he was proud?
Everything.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop asking questions about the porn. I'm just so like
cool.
atheist YouTube thing is way more interesting than
Right.
Well, it is.
former Christian porn guy.
One of his videos that I think got a lot of attention was called "How Atheism Saved My Life," and it was really cool to see your journey through it and how you equated your weight loss to your atheism.
Yeah. To reason, basically. Not just atheism, but to reason and logic. You know, when
Yeah,
you're
your
a
logic
Christian,
diet
you
was
think,
pretty cool too.
My logic diet, yeah. I was basically a Christian, a big fat-ass Christian, you know, eating burgers and drinking sodas every day, and I got really fat. I was like 5'7", 240 pounds, which is big. Like, that's so big you can't even wipe your ass. I mean, I don't be gross, but it's even hard to fucking wipe your ass when you're that big. That's retarded, okay? But I was like, I just pray about it. Hey, you know, the Bible says that if you have the faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move a fucking mountain. So I have enough faith to lose weight. So I just pray about it, and God will guide me to weight loss. But he didn't, of course, because he's a fucking asshole. And originally I was figuring out, it's just calories, you know, calories in, calories out. You know, it's just thermodynamics. If you take in less calories than you burn, then you will lose weight. And so finally logic led me to exercise and a reasonable diet that allowed me to lose over 100 pounds.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Totally reasonable.
You weigh less than 140 pounds? That doesn't sound healthy.
Well, no, I did. I weigh about 185 now, but I did get down to about 140. Yeah, like when I was living in Denver,
That sounds
I was
very
140
skinny.
pounds, and it was skinny, but sexy skinny. You know, like Adam Levine.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. How tall are you?
He said 5'7".
Okay, so
about
that's
5'7",
not
yeah.
bad. 140 is not bad.
It's about right. It's in there.
I'm sorry. I'm derailing. It's my job.
okay.
When I turned
Your body's shaming me. Thanks.
Not body shape. I was just like subtracting. You gave numbers. Can't blame me for doing math.
Don't do math around me. Fuck that.
I'm a physicist. I do math. That's what I do.
yeah.
I get it.
Over the last 9 years, you've had your channel?
Almost 10. It'll be 10 in November, I believe.
Almost 10 years. So, like, what I know your subscribers have gone kind of like all over the place. Right now, you're at about 250,000, I think.
Yeah, I'm not as popular as I used to be, unfortunately.
So, what was the maximum of subscribers that you ever had? And, like, when did you make the most money from YouTube?
I'm about at the maximum now, but a lot of my subscribers are like legacy subscribers. They're people that no longer really watch my show because my content has changed so much and they don't like it anymore. A lot of people don't like what I do anymore because I've changed so much in the last 2 years. At the height, I was getting probably, you know, several 100,000 views. Like I did one video one time, I made 10 grand off of it, one fucking video. So that was way better. That was awesome.
Back before the, what do you call that? The ad moratorium where they...
The adpocalypse.
Adpocalypse,
Yeah, back before they completely changed the YouTube algorithm where I don't make any money off YouTube anymore. I only make money off Patreon now. So subscribe to Cult of Dusty on Patreon. But, yeah, unfortunately, the good old days of YouTube are behind us.
What did you change so much that made people hate you?
Well, I always did religious stuff, but the atheist community got taken over by these anti-SJWs, these shitlords, and all my friends and all the major people doing that switched over to that, format. And so all the audience went over to that too. And so I kind of wanted to go down that path too a little bit because, it's hard to turn against your entire audience who's into that and all your peers and stuff. But I decided that wasn't for me. I really couldn't do that. I think that kind of thing helped Donald Trump get elected. I think it's driving our society into a more conservative direction, and I can't sleep at night being a part of that. So I basically just went against the anti-SJW community, which I feel is harmful in my opinion, and people are not happy.
Wasn't there? Yeah, I seem to recall a time where you almost seemed like you were kind of going down that same path, and that's kind of when I was finding my way down the social justice type advocacy path. And did you go too very far down that anti-SJW road?
Nah, it was like a couple months. Like, I was one of these guys that was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I was kind of pissed off at the DNC and Hillary because I think they kind of fucked him. And so I was kind of willing for just a little while to give Donald Trump a chance, and everybody was like jumping on that board, giving Donald Trump a chance and shit. So I was like considering it until I actually researched, what he stood for. Then I was like, oh, fuck that. Hell no. That goes against everything I stand for. But I did make a video with TJ about questions for social justice warriors. And there were other people in that video I didn't know were going to be in that video, but like Chris Raygun and Armored Skeptic, and I think Sarguy might have been in that video. But it was right after that I was like, hell no, I don't be associated with these motherfuckers. No, thanks. And so basically I started making videos against it, and I alienated a lot of my audience, and all these other really popular YouTubers started making what I consider very dishonest videos against me to spear me. And so they did a great job of it. They sure turned a lot of my audience off to what I do. So they crucified me. Good job, folks.
Are there a lot of atheist Trump supporters?
Well, yeah, like.
Sorry, is that an obvious question? Because to me, I think of atheists as smart people, and I don't know any smart people who support Trump, so I don't know.
We just had MythCon this weekend, which is the largest skeptic convention in North America right now. And during the panel where they were discussing atheism, the biggest cheer of the night was received when they mentioned Steven Crowder, who is, I don't know if you know who that is, but that is a Christian podcaster. And the second biggest pop of the night came from when they mentioned Jordan Peterson, who is also a conservative Christian, So right now, the anti-SJWs have taken over the skeptic atheist community so much that Christian conservatives get the loudest cheers of the night right now in the largest skeptic convention in America. So
it's pretty,
that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
So
Here's my sense. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, I know lots of atheists, but I never really kind of got the stream. Is there maybe like people are attracted to atheism because of like the fuck you value, like the stick it to the man? Oh, isn't it funny to say religion, whatever, is the cause of all blow, whatever. Like I said, they enjoy that. They enjoy the shock value of it. And so then when people like populists like Trump, et cetera, like, even Jordan Peterson, like they just kind of they're saying it like it is. I mean, they're not, but they say shit that pisses people. I mean, they're not saying truthful things, but they're saying things that are contentious, and people take that as being honest, even if it's not truth, even if it's not actual factual. It's they take it as
of it.
Yeah, they're like
if
it's offensive, then it's real. Do you think that's the same kind of?
That probably has a lot to do with it. Really what happened is the big popular YouTube channels decided, or they actually learned, that they could make a lot of money by spreading what I call SJW hysteria. And that was by going out and finding the minutia done by these people on the left and picking out what might be considered the crazies on the left, and then making videos about them to make fun of them and basically try to make them seem like they represent the entire left. And people who are the atheist community began watching these videos, and it was everybody who was popular is doing this. And so, in my opinion, they kind of became to be brainwashed to believing, we're atheists, but that's not nearly as important as these liberal SJWs who are trying to destroy our Western society. And that's kind of where a lot of them are still at. They really believe that the SJWs are the greatest threat to the planet right now.
I don't know how many times I've shared your videos about Jordan Peterson. I just absolutely love your takedowns of him. And it's just,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating to see all these liberal atheists just like loving this guy because of the whole free speech thing. And then when you dive into like his actual complaints against the university for the free speech and everything like that, you find that it has no bearing in reality whatsoever.
Well, a lot of these people worship people like Joe Rogan, and they think, well, he's on Joe Rogan program, and Joe Rogan is not pushing back and saying what he's saying is not true. So it must be true, because if it wasn't true, Joe Rogan, would call him out for it. But he's not. Joe Rogan is just giving a platform to say all this bullshit without pushing back at all against it, and the audience is not smart enough to pick up on that.
Yeah, like Bill Maher is kind of a little bit divisive in the atheist community, because some people think that he's got some views about
he's anti-vax.
He's got some some anti-vax.
No,
views.
he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Shut up.
But anyways, when Jordan Peterson was on there, I was excited. I was like, oh man, like Bill Maher is going to actually ask him some tough questions and push back. And he just like stroked him under the table for 10 minutes.
Sucked his dick.
Oh,
so shameful.
It's so shameful. I hope he looks back on that in a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever and just absolutely regrets how lightly he treated him.
He would have to actually go research the shit. A lot of these guys, they don't. Exactly. Like Joe Rogan just didn't research anything he was saying. So,
okay, well, being an atheist is just not believing in something. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be aligned politically or ideologically or in anything, except to say that you don't believe in whatever a supernatural, whatever God. I mean, there's really nothing more to it than that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all atheists are necessarily going to be aligned with everything they think. And
I don't know. I remember a few years ago, C.J. Werleman got a lot of shit. He wrote a book called Atheists Can't Be Republicans as Long as Reason and Evidence Matter. And as far as I was concerned, that title was true. You can't be a Republican if reason and evidence matter.
Agreed.
Yeah, but the Democrat, I mean, like Obama always paid lip service for I don't know how much he believed it to God, it's religion.
Jeez.
It's I don't know. There's no outwardly atheist Democrats either.
Well, that's a lot of the reason we changed we used to call it the atheist community, but we kind of changed that to the skeptic community because atheism is basically just a lack of belief. But skepticism, entails all these other things about supposedly being skeptical about everything and trying to at least research what you're talking about enough to give an educated opinion on it before you spread bullshit. But unfortunately, that's not really what happened. And unfortunately, it turned into like a shitlord town, a shitlord fest, where all these people want to do is act like the biggest pieces of shit they can possibly act like in order to own the libs. And that's what's cool right now. And that's exactly the type of shit I don't want to be associated with in any fucking way.
Fucking libs.
Not fucking libs. Fucking people that want to only own the libs. So over time, I as Cory mentioned, kind of when you went down the SJW track for a couple months and a little bit before, there was a time when even I, as like an ardent supporter and fan, was unable to share a lot of your videos because of like the brand was sullied. But it's been so long that I don't even remember like what was it that like this was say 2 to 3 years ago. What was it that caused like so many people to turn against you? I remember there was something about the claims of racism, claims of the AIDS thing was just stupid. But like, what were all the things that caused everybody to turn on you so much?
It depends on what you mean. Who turned against me? Like two different sets of people turned against me. The anti-SJWs turned against me, and the conservatives turned against me, and also some liberals turned against me during that one little period. So are you referring to the liberals who turned against me?
No, I'm thinking like I remember there were some videos that got I don't remember which black group it was, but a black group started calling you racist and then really glowing onto you, reporting your videos, things like that.
Well, that's true, but I was still very popular when that happened because those videos were anti-SJW videos, and anti-SJW stuff is extremely popular. So that didn't help. That didn't hurt me at all. That actually helped me as far as number-wise. I didn't start really losing subscribers until I started coming out against that stuff and being more. I hate the term social justice warrior because I think that's a ridiculous term. It's made up to demonize people. But until I was more sensitive towards their viewpoints, I guess is when I started losing more of my audience. But yeah, as far as I did piss some people off saying some things that other people thought was racist, which I didn't really mean as racist. I was just kind of going through an edgy phase, and I thought it was funny. I thought, nothing should be sacred. You should be able to make fun of anything. And so I said some things that now I'm embarrassed of saying. Now I realize I shouldn't have said them. They were just stupid, edgy bullshit that was racist. So And I can tell you what it is if you really want to hear it. Like one of the things I said was...
No, wait, stop. The show's going to get banned.
We don't really need to.
It's fine. I remember it. And then, you know what? It's funny. Like, I was a Dusty Smith apologist. People were like, oh, no, we can't have him on our show. We can't bring him here because he's racist. And I was like, he's not. You know, you got to read. It's like how people say about Jordan Peterson. Well, you really got to watch all of his videos. And, you know, it's nuanced. It's just a persona. One of my favorite videos, actually, is when you were speaking at that conference. What was that one again?
NapCon.
Yeah, man, that was so good to just see you talk for an hour as just like a normal person, just having a conversation instead of having to like swear and be angry as a persona in all your videos. And most people think
Play
that's
that character.
Yeah, most people think that's who you are every second of every day. But it's like, no. Like, did you start that persona because you felt that it was like a niche that was maybe missing in the whole like spreading of the atheist memes?
Exactly. You know, it's just this angry redneck character that I thought would be funny to do, to bash religion and make fun of it. But I mean, I could never be like that in real life. I mean, I live in Mississippi. I mean, seriously. So I couldn't live my life being an angry atheist running around screaming at everybody. But, you know, it's very therapeutic to do that on video. And people seem to respond to it. So I did that. But in real life, I'm just a really laid-back stoner guy.
I just watched your video the other day of when you confronted that guy who was giving out the chick tract. Oh, man, that guy was just so pathetic.
That was at Comic-Con. I almost felt bad for him. Like, he was he was a nice guy, but good Lord,
you kept saying, like, oh, you know, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. And I was like, yes, you fucking are. Don't lie. Of course you're trying to give him a hard time.
Passing out this Christian propaganda to children, man. You know, the worst kind of Christian propaganda to children. Like, it's hard not to say something.
Yeah. I didn't see the actual pamphlet. What kind of stuff was in it? Your typical Christian?
It was just, you know, basically how it doesn't really matter what you do. You can be the biggest piece of shit that ever lived on the face of the earth. As long as you right at death, tell Jesus you think he's the tits, you're going to go to heaven and live in eternity forever. I mean, that's a horrible message to be sending to people, right?
Yeah. Especially children, because they want any excuse to be bad, right?
Exactly. No responsibility whatsoever. You don't have to make amends to anybody you've harmed. All you have to do is make amends to the magical Sky Daddy, and it's like it never happened, and that's immoral as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Not to him. No, he seemed to think that made total sense. Isn't it great? He said. Isn't it great?
So God's an idiot?
Isn't it wonderful that you just have to make that choice?
But wouldn't it be great if it were true? If you really, I mean, it's not, I mean, that's actually kind of an awesome little loophole there. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, except that he's totally wrong, right? Like if he wasn't like unfactual, it would be great.
It'd be great for a selfish standpoint.
Right.
But not on a good for humanity standpoint.
Of course I'm talking, I'm selfish. Yeah.
I just really want a bigger TV. I'll go steal one and apologize. I'm sure that'll go over well.
Are you still in Mississippi?
Yeah, actually, after I did my douchey Denver stint that everybody really thinks I'm a douche for doing, I got a divorce. After 17 years, I got a divorce. And I moved to Denver. And no, not really. I'm
not saying you shouldn't have gotten divorced. I'm not saying, you should be with the person you don't want to be with. But the process of getting divorced is not fun. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, it was awesome. Like, my ex-wife was amazing.
Yeah, Cindy was.
She literally gave me everything.
You can go to hell then. I hope there is a hell. I hope we're all wrong and you can go there.
I deserve it, totally.
Right, Cory, back me up.
Lucky.
Yeah, that's right. For all the divorced people who didn't have it like that.
My ex is the best. Go fuck yourself.
Also, I chose really well to begin with, so that has a lot to do with it.
Also, go fuck yourself. You can continue to go fuck yourself with all this good shit that's happening to you.
Deeper and deeper.
Sorry. Sorry. So now you're back in Mississippi.
Well, yeah, I got a divorce, and I was a Christian my whole life, so I never really sowed my wild oats. So I was like, I went to Denver, which is like a meat market, and I dated a lot, and I acted like an idiot a lot, and I did a lot of not hardcore drugs, like acid. I was on acid every day and smoked a lot of weed and was kind of an alcoholic for a while. So a lot of people were like really turned off by, I guess I came out like a douche. But I had a lot of fun, but then I really kind of realized that I was living a very selfish lifestyle and I wasn't really, happy with the person I had become. So I moved back to Mississippi. I moved to a mostly black neighborhood and I opened an animal sanctuary here. And I started the Humanist Society of Mississippi Animal Sanctuary to try to spread humanism in the most religious state by doing good deeds. And one of the main good deeds we do is try to rescue animals that are most likely to be put down. So that's what we do here. I spend my days cleaning up piss and shit every day, all day.
Was part of moving back to Mississippi anything to do with your videos against Islam? I recall you saying something about you being actually, most times you weren't scared when people talked shit to you, but there was a couple times when you actually did feel a bit of fear.
I went into hiding for 2 years, actually, after I made my video. If you are a Muslim, you're retarded. People were calling my mom's house, and I had no idea how the fuck they knew who my mom is, and she was terrified. So I got an RV, and I lived in an RV for 2 years, moving from lot to lot, from state to state, to try to stay safe because of all the threats I was getting. And then after about 2 years, I was like, nah, fuck this. I'm tired of that. So I just basically came back to Mississippi for good.
Wow.
So creepy.
Yeah, Islam, the Muslims are they're not fucking around. Do you know what I mean? That's
on the seriousness scale of religion.
Well, a lot of religions are very serious with religion, but they're not gonna necessarily kill you for saying bad things. Like the Mormons are very serious about their religion, but they're not gonna kill you if you say the Mormons are dumb. Just make a Broadway musical and
that's all good.
Live your life.
Islam, you draw a cartoon and you're fucking dead, dude.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty scary. That doesn't really help their case to me. You know what I mean? It's not winning the rest of us over. So
they were sending me messages I pray to Allah every night that I get to be the one to cut your head off, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, well,
pretty intense.
And I'd made a video on YouTube where they figured out where I lived too when I was in Denver, which was scary. So all bad.
Yikes. So I was going to ask you, we're in Canada, and you seem to sort of have you definitely have different exposure to different kinds of people. What's the political temperature down there? How is it? How are things feeling?
It's Trump country here in Mississippi. I mean, it's the most religious state in the most religious country. So I mean, it's all conservative, pretty much nonstop all the time. But the thing is, also at the same time, there's a thing called Southern hospitality that's a real thing. So people are really fucking friendly. So even though they're mostly dumb, at least they're nice about it.
Do you still live in the all black neighborhood that you were bragging about before? I know that sounds weird to say. Sorry for all you guys that don't understand that. No, he was not basically saying man, you guys are all idiots. I got the biggest house and the best neighbor. These guys are so nice, and the only downside, quote unquote. But anyways, you can explain it better.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I was bragging about how nice my neighbors are. They are. I've lived here, and not a single person that says an unkind word to me since I've been here. It's been amazing, and I almost feel kind of racist because I thought since I was the only white guy that lives here that maybe I'd be a target. And I was like, maybe I should put cameras everywhere just to make sure that they don't target me and rob me and everything. And it's the opposite's been true. They've been so kind and accepting and loving towards me, and I feel bad about having those thoughts. Well, nobody here knows who I am.
That's what I was.
No, but you're the white guy celebrity.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right. I'm the white boy that lives in the neighborhood.
The white neighbor.
I'm the token white guy.
So are the white guy down the street?
Yeah, they don't even need to know his name.
That's right.
You seen the white guy?
The white boy.
So wait, so politically, are your black neighbors supporting Trump as well? Are you finding
Oh no, they're not supporting. Most of them are not. Most of them are, they're good liberals, but they don't vote. So what does it matter?
Do you think that blue wave is coming in November?
Yeah, I think so. You know, well, I didn't think Trump would win either, so what the fuck do I know? But I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. I guess.
Is your area one where it's harder, or is it easier to get to a voting booth?
Well, it's not too hard because they have a lot of them at the churches, and there's a church every 5 feet, so not that difficult.
So that's not bad, eh?
Nah, it's not that bad.
That's good. We only hear tidbits of U.S. news up in Canada. They talk about it a lot because of Trump, obviously, but hearing about all this gerrymandering and stuff that's going on, it's just they try to group minorities together in as large as groups as possible and just say, okay, let's give them that one district so we can get the other three.
And then we'll put the voting booths way at this end and this polling place way here. And
it's so fucked. You know how
make it as hard to get to as possible.
People say that the robots are going to take over the world eventually and self-driving cars and all this stuff. But I know this is probably a contentious view, but I honestly wish our governments were just one big fucking supercomputer, and you could say, "Hey, no, I'm serious. You're we want to draw our districts. Well, you as a Democrat are going to draw it in one way that it favors you, and me as a Republican, I'm going to draw it in one way that favors me. Instead, let's both feed our rationales of why we want to district it this way into the supercomputer and let the supercomputer make the decision.
Let
because
the AI decide.
Yeah, because technically they're trying to, the rationale that they're saying is, well, we're doing this because we want to have people with similar needs grouped together. But in the end, what you're doing is just grouping together similar skin colors or certain demographics.
Yeah. When the gerrymandering first happened, it actually was the liberals doing it because they thought that if they allowed the black people to vote together, it would give them more voting power because they could vote in their own people. But then it turned out it actually helped the conservatives. You know, it turned out to be counterproductive. And then the conservatives jumped on it and started doing it heavily. So now we have to where constantly, every election, the Democrats have a way higher percentage of people voting for them than the conservatives do. But the conservatives continuously to get more seats because of how broken the gerrymandering system is here.
I mean, we have kind of similar issues federally where we get like a party in power who has a majority of the seats in order to pass legislation, but they only got like 38% of the vote, sort of thing. Like it's just. I mean, that's more of a first past the post thing than like the way that the system works. But anyway, we can have similar.
So fucked up that the person that wins the majority vote often does not win the presidency. I mean, how fuck can you get than that?
That's not that often though. I mean, it doesn't happen that many times. I mean, obviously it happened with Trump. It happened with Bush. First Bush to elect.
Happened before that too.
I think since then it was like the 60s. Or like it doesn't happen that much. It's just
it happens too much. Got Trump elected. Fuck that.
You know, there's one acceptable angle in my mind for the Trump supporter, and that was the people that have properly suggested that it's going to cause this blue wave. This blue wave wouldn't have happened, not nearly as big and not nearly as quickly, if it had been Hillary that won. In fact, it could have actually done the opposite. So it's kind of like the disestablishment or the fuck the whole system sort of thing. Like,
silver lining to Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Let Trump have his 4 years, but then the Democrats will have the next 20 because we'll actually fuck shit up.
I've heard of that pressure valve argument. It took some pressure off the people. Yeah, people who wanted something different and wanted a renegade would get their guy and be like, well, fuck that. I won't do that again. And maybe not. I don't know. He's got so many support. Like, I don't feel like the tide's turned on that guy. Like, there's just so many
stuck in that 30 to 40% approval rate, no matter what. Seems like
I don't understand
if voting turnout stays the same, but it's not
right.
I think that all of these young women, Ocasio-Cortez is one, and there's been more that have come up.
True,
they're going to really motivate the young people, the Hispanics, the blacks, hopefully to vote more in a block. And if you start to see higher voting turnout, it's going to be very good for the Democrats.
I hope so. Let's pray.
Let's pray. Dusty, you lead us in a prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer here, okay.
Yeah.
God who art in heaven.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I like how you knew how to start that. The rest of us were just like,
Wait, did he say who aren't in heaven?
I didn't catch
Who aren't in heaven?
God who aren't in
heaven. I was almost a preacher, so I was training to be a preacher. So,
even if you're not, it's so strongly ingrained. I go to a friend's Catholic wedding, and when it's time to stand up, you're just... Oh, I'm standing. Shit. How did that happen?
And then they fuck with you. I went back 10 years later and they got standing and saying shit different times. Just fuck me right up. I don't even know if you knew that.
No.
Don't know the rules.
Yeah. No, that's so they can tell who hasn't come to church in a long time.
Right.
You haven't been here for 5+ years. We changed that line 5 years ago.
You are lapsed.
Yeah. I remember when I went to communion for the last time at a Catholic church. So if you're not Catholic, you're not supposed to take communion because you go to hell or some shit. Yeah. So you're supposed to do the sign to let them know you're not fucking Catholic when you go up there. And I was like, I didn't know how to do the sign correctly. I was afraid the priest was going to bunt and try to steal home. I don't know.
A little baseball reference there. Nice.
Baseball. Sports ball.
So
nobody got it.
Something big's about to happen in Canada. So I'd like to personally invite you to move here. You heard that we're legalizing marijuana federally, right?
Hell yeah, so lucky. Don't rub it in, dude.
I'm not rubbing it in. I'm saying you should move here. Much safer. You can make fun of Islam up here. No one's going to hurt you, man. Come on.
That's true. I would love to, but it's so cold. I don't think I can handle that.
That's true.
That is not true. That is a myth. If you live in
That's what I hear.
100% of it. Nah, come on.
Minus 40.
Cold.
I'm Latin American.
It's so white.
I support that.
It does look cold. It is very white up here as well.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking,
Mississippi a little bit.
What I was thinking of doing is once this becomes legal, it's going to be a novelty for quite a while. I was thinking about holding some sort of a conference that was that was like atheism, skepticism, and also chucking marijuana. WeedCon. That's exactly what I called it. Yeah, I called it.
I'm so there, dude.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Unlike MythCon, you guys might actually let me speak.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that for a sec? Like, how did this? You actually contacted these guys and tried to get yourself there.
Okay, so the biggest atheist skeptic convention in North America right now is called MythCon. And basically, last year, it became obvious it was just this anti-SJW circle jerk. And this year, it was even more obvious that's what it was going to be. So I was like, hey, guys, you clearly need somebody to come out and represent the other side. I'll be happy to come out there and do it. You know, just let me know. Crickets, nothing. And so I was like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to troll them. I'm going to tell some of their anti-SJW guys I don't like that I'm going to actually fly myself out, buy a ticket, and I'm going to come out and challenge them to dance contests. And I'm just going to film myself dancing all around them. I'm going to fucking destroy them with dancing contests. And so the MythCon then like messaged me and like, oh my God, are you going to come start fights with people? And I was like, what? And apparently these other anti-SJW shitlords started posting clips of what I was saying out of context to make it seem like I was trying to start fights with them when I was talking about dancing. And I was like, no, dude, I'm talking about fucking dance competitions. And I was like, look, dude, I'm happy to come out and speak for free if you guys will allow me to come out and do it. I'll fly myself out. You don't have to pay anything. And I'll be the good alternative to, you know, the anti-SJW circle jerk you're putting out. And they're like, no, we can't invite you because our guest list is already in stone. And we just cannot possibly change this. It's just not possible. Sorry, dude. And after they told me that, they added at least 5 or 6 other people after that. So they were just lying to me. You know, instead of just telling me, no, we don't want you there. We're thinking you'll make the other guest uncomfortable, whatever. They just basically blacklisted me for the whole fucking thing. And so then, like I said, they had it this last weekend, and it was, as you would expect, a total anti-SJW circle jerk, completely fucking shameful. But they can't put out this meme that they like to put out that they couldn't find other voices from the other side to come out and speak, because that's not true. I agree to do it, and they blacklisted me from that shit.
Don't they believe in free speech? Isn't that their shtick?
That's their whole shtick, but it ain't fucking true. Don't believe it. Just like Jordan Peterson claims that, yet he spends all the money people give him hiring lawyers to threaten to sue people that say shit he don't like. So he's done this like 3 times already. He's threatened to sue all kinds of motherfuckers for saying shit that he don't like. And the shit they're saying is totally true, you know.
So anti-Canadian. Canadians don't sue people for that shit.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, have you guys been put in jail yet for not calling...
Yeah.
I was going to say, have you guys been put in jail yet for not calling trans people by stupid names?
Oh, yeah. Our jails are just full of those people. We just can't.
That's what I thought.
Keeps happening every second.
Yeah.
Who are we jailing?
By misgendering trans people.
Yeah.
They
Jordan
put us
Peterson
in jail.
said, yeah, they're going to start putting us in jail.
Did he say that?
Yeah, that was actually the whole thing with that.
That's kind of how we got famous. Almost.
Bill C-64, was it?
Yeah. I think he took
62?
it way too
C-16.
far.
Yeah.
C-16. There you go.
Oh, C-16, that's right.
But I don't think
He
that
literally said that. I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
He
No, go
literally
ahead.
said that making fun of somebody's fashion could violate the hate crimes laws in Canada. He literally said that on Joe Rogan.
So it's. I mean, these human rights tribunals are, to be fair, notoriously kind of like kangaroo courty. Like they're not like good court. Like they're not like really stickler to rules of law. However, I don't think anyone they've ever thrown anyone in jail. It's more like fines or like or ruining reputations, which isn't cool. But like. And I think he overstated the worry that, like, you know, well, if you don't use one of the 85 pronouns, then you'll as opposed to what really happened, which is, it's all about intention, right? Like, crap, sorry, I didn't use the right, like, sorry, I said he and I should have said she and it was a misspoke, and then everyone's fine. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Like, we live in a pretty,
obvious to me.
Sorry.
It's obvious to me, even somebody from America, that the intent of the law was to keep you from discriminating and harassing people at work. You know, like you can't call your black coworkers the N-word.
Yeah.
You can't call your gay coworkers, faggots, and you can't repeatedly misgender somebody on purpose to harass them.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was clearly the intent of the law.
No, exactly. I think you're exactly right.
About it.
Like my sister is a lesbian and she went for supper somewhere, like at a restaurant, and they just didn't come by to take their drink. Like they were clearly on a date and they just wouldn't come by to take their order. And eventually they're like, can we like order? Like several people around us come after and they've already gotten their food and they're like, we don't have anything you want here. You know, like that kind of shit could happen. And that, I mean, I encouraged her report that to the Human Rights Tribunal. She never did, but like that's the kind of shit that they're trying to, like, it's just to make sure public access for everyone, irrespective of.
You know what though? You can like Dusty won't know this about us, but the radio host John Gormley called for us to murder Muslims, and nobody said anything.
That's true.
Like he never got charged. He never went to like
that guy.
Yeah, well, he literally said on Twitter, like, next person who shouts Allahu Akbar, we shoot them. That's what he said.
Oh, yeah, he didn't even get like reprimanded at work.
No, nothing. He still had, in fact, his viewership probably went up after that.
Yeah,
I'm sure. What an edge lord. So
our laws suck.
If somebody, yeah,
but you have to bring an application to a Human Rights Tribunal. You can't, they won't just automatically do it because the guy said it on the radio. You have to say no. This is not.
I'm
somebody
sure
would have had.
Did though.
They should.
I doubt it, actually.
Maybe not.
Because if they did, something would have been done. The Human Rights Tribunal actually.
They have to, once they put in an application, they have to look into it. They can't not.
And if they did look into it, it's quite clear. He didn't hide what he was saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were kind of dismayed about Jacqueline Glenn a little bit. So she joined the anti-SJW crowd?
Like, I don't want to diss her too much because she's still a friend of mine. And full disclosure, I own Jacqueline Glenn's website, and I have paid her tens of thousands of dollars over the past 2 years to be one of the spokesmen for my clothing companies. So, I consider her still a friend. But after watching that performance and seeing some of her other videos and watching how much she hangs out with people like Blair White, yeah, it seems to me like she's kind of jumping on that bandwagon of the anti-SJWs, and it's not amazing in my opinion.
Could it be a sincerely held belief?
Obviously, they could. I'm not on the side of her head, but from what I know about human nature, oftentimes money has a lot to do with their decisions, and so, who knows?
I feel like anyone who's worked in the porn industry could say that, like, and I believe them. Like anybody who's not that you've. I'm sorry, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Talk about an industry that's driven by money, right? I mean,
yeah.
He's an expert on
it isn't driven by art, right? Like,
some of it's kind of artistic, a little bit.
That ain't what drives it.
Yeah, even that's meant to be.
Not what drives it.
Yeah, it's driven by the money, right?
That would be what I'm arguing.
So, I guess you're starting a new podcast. That was kind of the impetus for us having you on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
The Untitled Podcast. We have not been able to think of a name. We've come up with so many, and they're all awful. So we can't decide on any. But it's me, Vadim Newquist, who is Creationist Cat, and Tim Demotivator, who's awesome. Three of us are getting together. We're going to try to make like an alternative to the anti-SJWs podcast, an alternative to Peterson, or more like a look at the reasonable left, not the caricature of the anti-SJWs that have been fed to you by these channels repeatedly, but, a nuanced look at the left from more a sensible, logical viewpoint. And, looking forward to that. I think that'll be really successful.
Why wouldn't you call yourselves the anti-SJWs? There's your name. Boom. You're welcome.
I thought about that.
You're welcome.
It's kind of confusing.
No, it's double negatives are in no way confusing. Double negatives are never not confusing.
Never, not ever, always.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're thinking about calling ourselves Lobster Apocalypse. That's the working title, but we'll see. The salt left, maybe. I don't know. We haven't decided.
The salt left.
I kind of like
We're still working it out.
That's not been.
That's
not been used
bad.
before.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, salt left's okay.
I googled it, did not find anything. So that's all I can do.
Yeah, check and see if you can buy the domain name, and that's
a good start.
That's true. If you can't, fuck it.
So when do you think that'll be starting?
We're supposed to start that mid-October. And I believe that's what I'm supposed to also do. I'm supposed to be a regular guest on The Drunken Peasants, which I have not enjoyed that program, but I'm just going to do it twice a month to try to turn that program around because I think that has an audience that really needs to be turned around. So we're going to make an attempt at that. And it's possible I might restart the podcast eventually, but we're going to start these other two things first and see how that goes.
I thought Drunken Peasants had gone away.
No, they have a new, TJ's not on anymore, and TJ's brother, whatever his name is, nobody cares, is not on anymore, and Paul is not on anymore, but it's still the producer of the show, which is Ben, and he has two new guys, and they do it still.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It has to have changed a lot, because I did not want to be associated with it at all for a while. Like I actually went to New Orleans and met those guys, and I was in talks with them at the height of the popularity of the show to go on tour with them. But I didn't want to be associated with it because I thought their fans were awful, and I thought a lot of the material they were putting out was awful. And I don't know. It was like one of my biggest nightmares was to die and then to be forever associated with this bullshit. So I was like, no, I can't. Sorry, dudes. And like they didn't take it well. Like they made so many videos smearing me and saying things about me that are dishonest, totally dishonest. But sorry.
Yeah.
Some of your most popular videos are your Christian fails, it seems. Those ones must be fun to do. Like, how do you sift through all of the fails? Because there's just so many. And like this
I'm
month
like,
of religious
I
bullshit.
suffer for you guys.
Oh, you do. I can't even imagine. Like your
especially on the Christian movies.
Oh, those ones are terrible. But thank you so much for like God friended. Is there even been an episode 1 yet of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a video about episode 1.
So fucking terrible. How that's gonna get canceled? Like, is it even gonna make a season?
I don't know. Well, Christians, they run a lot of shit, and there's a lot of money to still be made by manipulating them. So who knows? But it was really bad.
Yeah, Noah's Ark movie. Like, I just can't even. I'm like, I like the actors, but I just cannot bring myself to give any money to that.
Well, the first episode of that God Friends Me show. The guy's an atheist, of course, and I'm almost 100% guaranteed you guys can already guess about why he's an atheist in the show.
Yeah,
it's because something bad happened to him, and he's mad at God.
That's why everyone's an atheist. Don't you know that?
Yeah, and it's just like, oh God, come on, CBS 2018, come on.
It seems like a fundamental misunderstanding of how atheism works.
Yeah, why is it
They don't give a
never?
shit.
Why is it never anyone that's like an actual atheist? Because they used to be religious, then nothing bad happened to them. They just started reading and going to school and shit, and valued evidence, and then they're an atheist. Like,
I've never met an atheist who's an atheist because they're mad at God because they don't think that there's a God to be mad at. Like,
That's
it doesn't
so
make
stupid.
it. That's not a thing.
But that straw man is easy to beat down, of course. That makes it a very popular trope in television shows and movies.
oh, and of course, and it's easy to turn that person back into a Christian, right? Because as soon as you get them
They
to
did it
forgive
in the first
God,
episode, basically.
the first episode,
Like, not quite, but almost.
Yeah.
Like he basically started believing in God and started going back to church again. So like
in one episode, like that should really be
one
one
fucking
season
episode.
at least. Come
Which
on.
show is this?
right?
God friended
God
me.
friended me on CBS.
Oh, I think I saw.
call-
So I don't have cable, but I was at my grandmother's house recently, and I was like, "What the fuck has been happening for 10 years?" Because the thing is, anyways, nobody's cable anymore. That
They call it CBS because that's all you see is BS.
That's actually, there's a show, Kevin Probably Saves the World, about a guy who
That
like,
was
don't
not
have cable.
horrible.
yeah, it's
better,
actually kind of
but still
clever,
not
but it's
great.
still got that really religious undertone to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as like hammy and in your
Yeah.
face because it's kind of like a more like it's not like the God of the Bible so much. It's more of just this like other type of God, but it's
Yeah.
still not great.
No.
Can I confess something? I fucking used to love that show, Seventh Heaven. So fucking good. Oh my god, all their antics.
Before the dad started
Jessica
molesting
Biel.
kids,
Did he?
you know that? Yeah, the main actor.
Oh,
yeah,
you
he was
just-
arrested
Fuck's
for
sakes! Why are you
molesting
ruining shit for me?
The look on her face.
You know what other show I used to love? Like
Ruined it.
the Cosby
Childhood
Show.
destroyed.
Do you guys remember that? That guy, the guy was the lead
You
actor
remember-
on that show?
Bill.
You know, he turned out
Bill,
to
yeah,
suck
Bill. He sucked.
Oh,
too. He sucks.
I didn't know.
Look at
JAIL.
that. Ruin your childhood.
Yeah, turns out he sucks too.
Jesus Christ! All the
Yep.
freaking molesters.
Every
out there.
guy that you looked up to in the past is garbage.
It's like Charles
Like
in
David
Charge.
Suzuki. Fuck him.
Yeah, and fuck David Suzuki.
Speaking of garbage, so House of Cards, are they just going to come back in the first episode and Kevin Spacey's going to be dead?
I don't know, but I think Robin Wright's supposed to be president. I think
Yes.
that's how it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
go.
totally,
I'm
that's gonna
so
happen, but
fucking excited.
How do they kill him without
How does
paying
that
him for
happen?
another
They almost
episode?
killed him so many times. He's had so
But
many
I mean,
hearts.
without paying him for another episode or half episode even. How do they just come back and be like, oh yeah, the main
They're
character,
just
he's
at the
dead
grave.
now.
They're at the grave, single tear, move on with life. Like, I don't know.
That's right.
He did.
He
Same way
did.
they got rid of Roseanne.
He dead.
Roseanne
Woman
dead.
president
Let's
now.
move on.
Yeah, they is that show still kind of on? The Connors or whatever now?
Oh yeah, the Connors are on. Roseanne's dead, and the Connors going to carry on with her.
So people who suck just go
Gotta
away.
love it.
So they literally killed off the character of Roseanne?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard
they're
them talking
gonna
about it on the
throw
radio.
up.
They're like,
Shut
well,
up.
at least she, allowed them to carry the show on without her. That was really nice of her after all of her, racist bullshit that ruined the show.
Literally, she had a hit show. All she had to do was not be a racist.
Shut the fuck up.
That's all you had to do. What the fuck?
It's actually super easy to not say racist stuff on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
She should have just,
when you're famous and rich.
I wonder if there's like some sort of like an add-on that you can get to your Twitter that just like every time you click send is like, ooh, that looks a little racist, Roseanne. Are you sure you want to click send on that?
I'm pretty sure if there's a filter like that, the White House staff would have put that on Trump's phone long ago.
Quickly.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
actually thought of like an add-on to your phone. That
No, they did. You should see what he types.
You got that?
Right.
That's the good version.
So we get the filtered version of it, eh?
We're looking at about 8 minutes left here, Dusty. What did you think about the Kavanaugh hearings over the last couple days?
Heart-wrenching. I mean, for a long time, I didn't think that rape culture existed in America because, like, when I grew up, they taught you that rapists were bad. You're not supposed to rape people, and you're evil when you rape people. But that's not what rape culture is all about at all, I've learned. It's about how when these women come out to try to tell their stories, they're demonized, and they're put down, and they're scared to even come out and speak out about it. So it basically makes it easier for these guys to behave this way. That's what rape culture is all about. Now, this Kavanaugh hearing just illustrates that so beautifully.
Back up. You didn't think it existed?
Lots of guys don't because they don't experience it.
They're so dumb. Oh my God.
Because I didn't understand. I didn't have an understanding of what you guys were talking about when you were saying that. Because like all my life, I've been told that rape is bad. You shouldn't rape anybody.
Rape is bad. No, you weren't wrong. That wasn't wrong.
Keep believing.
You're almost there.
Right, but I see what he's saying.
But now I get that's not just what you're talking about. It's a whole other thing way beyond that causes rape culture to be a thing. And I'm a white heterosexual male. It's a lot of times it takes me a while to get this stuff, but I get it eventually.
It's astounding hearing the political climate on it. Fox News even saying like that she's believable and there's no reason to not believe her story. So essentially, when they confirm Kavanaugh, because clearly they're going to, what they're basically saying is that it just doesn't matter. And we all know that they don't think that it matters because they already, got in the pussy grabber president. So what's a little attempted rape, for a Supreme Court judge? That's nothing.
Well, they had a woman who supported Trump on the other day who had her daughters on there, and she was like, all kids do this. All kids sexually molest girls when they're teenagers.
That's exactly what that
right
is.
in front of her teenage daughters. It's like, no, I never did this. Sorry, I've done some bad things towards women. Like I've talked mean to them on the internet and said things that I'm ashamed of, but I've never fucking assaulted any woman, never touched anyone without her permission. So no. All teenage boys don't do that shit. Fuck no, and fuck you for saying that.
Yeah, it's really important that guys speak out against that. Like, and to hear a woman say that, what teenage boy has never just jumped on a girl and tried to rip off her clothes and put his hand over her mouth? And it's like,
what have you
back up for a sec? Where are you from? What the fuck?
We were sitting in the living room watching something, and there was something like that came on, and somebody's like, all teenage boys do this, and my son's just like, what?
What am I missing out on?
15-year-old boy is like, is this actually like a thing people believe?
But it's easy to believe that when teenage boys gets high fives when they get laid, and especially if they say, it took a while, but I finally convinced her. Instead, like if the sex you're getting has to be convinced,
coerced,
that you should be
so
proud
sexy
of that.
To me. To me, if the girl's not really fucking into it, I'm limp as fuck. Like, she has to be into that
it's not about that. It's about
that's what turns me on.
Accomplishing the act.
Yeah.
No, I remember, even in Catholic high school, it was all about that. It was all about the locker room stories that you tell about which of the girls you banged and where you did it and how you did it.
Sorry, but just to be clear, you guys didn't believe that rape culture existed.
What do you mean by you guys? Hold on.
I'm totally grouping all you idiots in the same damn Venn diagram.
I think it's totally fair to lump us all in the same group and be like, okay, so we're all idiots.
I don't think I'd ever really even thought about the term rape culture.
No.
Until maybe like 5 years ago.
But it didn't exist. But what it describes.
Right, but so that's the thing. As a
that existed?
As a non-rapist, and as somebody that same as Dusty Smith had been told and educated, rape is bad, sexual assault is bad. It was never like I didn't have to think about rape culture because it was not in my because it wasn't me. And so because it wasn't me, I assumed that everyone else was all on board with this, that all my cohort would think that rape is bad and it's not something that you do. And
yeah, but people think of rape as, somebody's walking down the street and somebody jumps up behind the bushes and then you assault somebody you don't know, right?
Like, but that's what we were taught growing up too, is that's what you'd be afraid of. You carry your keys a certain way. I was never told, other than watching your drink at a party or a bar, but I was never told, you're more likely to get raped by somebody you know.
I remember some of that, but it wasn't it wasn't as prominent as it is now. Yeah.
Like I didn't have a concept of it. I didn't know what you were talking about. It's like intersexual feminism. Most people hear that word and they're like, "Oh shit, that's something that's bullshit that you made up." There's no concept about what it actually is. That's what I thought at first until I actually Googled it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well that's just common sense. Obviously, that's a thing." So it's just like that to me. And the sad thing is, even my mom was raped. My mom was raped when I was a baby, and I was in the car. And some guy pulled her over and raped her. And my girlfriend has been raped. And my ex-roommate has been raped. So I should know better. But even people like me who should actually know better, it takes a while for us to understand exactly what these new concepts are. Catch up.
Good for you for catching up.
Yeah.
I think that when you do,
in progress.
Yeah. And when you do catch up, especially for a person like Dusty Smith, who's got a decent sized following, it's even more important for him than to signal boost and amplify for the correct people in that community who are fighting for the right things.
That's why I'm here, trying to signal boost for you guys a little bit. Doing my part.
Good boosting.
Yeah,
I hope so. We'll see. Like I'm so hated. I don't know how much of a boost you get nowadays.
Oh, we doubled our viewership tonight. Normally it's 3. I think we got 6 right now. So that's very good.
Wow. It's double.
Get that dusty bounce.
Yeah,
the dusty bounce. The dusty
is one of them Lachlan?
He is not in the chat room, so I don't know.
I'm sad.
Cool. Well, a couple minutes left. Anything else that you wanted to talk about tonight?
Perhaps something to plug.
Yeah.
Other than, the links to your stuff is all going to be in the show notes anyway. So anything extra?
Not really. Like I have the Untitled podcast that we don't know what the fuck's going to be called coming out next month. And as always, on the Cult of Dusty, you can come join me. And if you want to support my animal sanctuary, you can do that on Patreon. Because I don't really make any money off YouTube anymore. But I don't really plug too much shit. I hate that. I hate fucking marketing.
You could plug your shirts. That's on cultofdusty.com too, right?
Yeah. I don't really sell them too much anymore. But yeah, if you want to buy some shirts, cultofdusty.com. Like I don't even never. Whatever happens. I hate marketing.
Actually,
I can't stand it.
I was going to ask you too, actually, because it wasn't that long ago you got kicked off of Twitter. So what's the story behind that?
I got kicked off from Twitter I didn't even say this to her because Shoe on Head, I don't know if you know who that is, but she had blocked me. And I basically made a comment that I thought it was cowardly as shit that she had blocked me and she was talking about me behind a block. And she has 250,000 people on Twitter. So I'm constantly just getting spammed with people insulting me, and I can't even see what the fuck she's saying about me. So I said I thought she was being a cowardly bitch for doing that, and they blocked me for saying the word bitch. They permanently banned me from Twitter for saying the word bitch. And it's because so many people false flag everything I do and mass flag the things I do. All these anti-SJWs who pretend that they're for free speech. They're not really. They don't really give a shit. They just want to be the biggest shitheads they can to own the libs. They thought having me banned from Twitter permanently would own the libs, and so now I'm permanently banned from Twitter. That's the way that shit works.
And the libs are owned.
Yes, that's right.
I am so owned.
So owned.
Can't you just make another account? Is that not a thing?
I mean, I could. Well, for one thing, when you make another account, they ban your second account because you're not supposed to do that. That's against the rules. But also, I spent 10 years building up an audience on this one account, so they're all gone. So it's really hard to build up what took you 10 years to build up. So
that was really one thing I wanted to reminisce on while you were here. Was the old Cult of Dusty group? I was an admin for a short period of time, right when that shit went downhill.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't apologize. It was that was like a little slice of paradise on Facebook. The discussions that were had there when it was good, it was just a place where you could go to avoid the bullshit, like the crap memes and the fucking gaslighting and the logical fallacies.
It got taken over though by the shitlords completely.
Yeah,
and then I was embarrassed to have my name on it. I didn't want my name on that anymore. You're all assholes. Please stop pretending you're my fans because you're not. I hate you. Please go away.
Yeah, and then when
That's how I felt about it.
Some guys got promoted to admin that shouldn't have been, and then they deleted all the other admins, and then they just fucking held it hostage for months before I think it finally got deleted or something, right?
Yeah, they turned it to an anti-Dusty group.
Oh,
and then it got
and then they set it to. I remember they put like a bomb icon. They're like, this group is being exploded in 30 days or something. Yeah, it was pretty shitty.
Shitlords just trying to be shitlords, just trying to do whatever they can to own the libs and be the biggest shitheads they can. But you did me a favor. Thank you for getting rid of that group because I was incredibly embarrassed of it and don't want my name anywhere on it. So,
well, I mean, it was good in the beginning, and then once it went to shit, I would want to take my name off of that too.
Well, that's like the whole atheist community did. The atheist community used to be really solid, and that's why, I started my clothing line to try to help all these people with expenses and stuff. But it all turned to, shitlord central. The entire thing got fucked.
Did you guys know that? I mean, it's hard to actually know this now, but the office of the president of the United States used to actually be prestigious.
Is that right?
Yeah, it used to be this thing that people really it meant that you were good or smart or honorable or
Are you sure
decent.
about that?
Well, it's really hard. It's a long time ago. It's just, but yeah, I think so.
I have vague recollection of
I thought it was just a stepping stone for reality show contestants. So.
Yeah, it does boost your ratings. It's well known to boost your ratings, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you should do that. You should become president, and then you'll get more Twitter followers.
I can't. I've already sent too many unsolicited dick pics in my bad old days, so
that doesn't
I'm
seem
done
to matter.
forever.
Yeah, no, that doesn't seem to matter.
Did you?
that helps,
Only
actually.
if
Can
I
you
run Republican, though.
Can you explain this now, please? Now that you're here and you've admitted to this, why would you do that? Why do you send somebody dick pics who doesn't ask? Why?
Okay, now
what is
this
the
was
what
years.
But what's the psychology?
How do you want me to
behind that?
respond?
There's no excuse.
Does it work one every 100 times?
No.
Oh,
no,
that's what I thought.
Bullshit. It's just like you're drunk and you're sitting there on Facebook at 2:00 in the morning and you're like, hey, maybe this girl wants to see my dick, but she doesn't. She never does.
But are men so full of themselves that they truly believe that people want to see their dick? Oh, okay. Then I get it. That's fine. I totally get it.
100% what it was.
Weird.
Bad decisions at 2:00 in the morning when you're drunk. That's all it is. But I know now. So
that again brings us full circle to President of the United States. I mean, this really is very...
Pretty much anything can be brought back to Trump.
Well, as long as it's shitty enough and happens when you're sending shit over the internet at 2 a.m, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to go to a break. Thank you for joining us, Dusty.
Thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Don't send
Anytime,
any more
dude.
dick
You got me
pics,
back on. I will not send anybody dick pics. I promise. Believe me. I'm feeling much better now.
To your girlfriend, do it. I mean, she might want that. That's fine.
Nah, even she don't want it. Even she don't want it. It's like, nah, thanks. I'm good.
I don't need to look at it.
Yeah, I don't need to look at it. Put it inside me occasionally.
No, right on. Thanks a lot. And we are going to go to a break.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/brainstorm podcast gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
I'm Dustin.
And I'm Wesley.
We host the Atheist Nomads podcast.
We're godless geeks who take a skeptical look at
politics, religion, science, technology, and history.
We also interview leaders in the atheist, skeptic, and humanist community.
Check us out at atheistnomads.com.
That's atheistnomads.com.
All right. I have some listener feedback. On the Twitters, after our episode on speaking ill of the dead came out, at Jesse Hoffner said, quote, something that was missed when you were all talking about Ronald Reagan was his opposition to ending apartheid in South Africa and his funding of death squads in Central America. As bad as trickle-down economics is, it doesn't quite rise to the horror of actual death squads, for what it's worth. End quote. Yeah. And I think that's fair. We were talking about, I think we were talking to BJ Mendelsohn, that was after our interview with BJ Mendelsohn, and we were speaking of John McCain's death. And we kind of brushed over the legacy that Ronald Reagan had very briefly, and trickle-down economics seemed to be the major thing we touched on. And yeah, he was bad in a lot of ways. At Jeff Nords on Twitter sent us a picture of the copy of The End of Privacy that I sent him, and just to say thanks, which is cool. We still actually have a book from our last interview, The Earthbound Parent, with Richard A. Kahn. If somebody emails me at mail@brainstormblog.net, they can have a copy of that book.
You have the book? Oh.
I will order it.
I went and bought it at Chapters. So
is that right?
There's no more in town right now.
I see. Well, I will order it on Amazon, get it sent to whoever.
Screw Amazon.
Send Dave the email.
Fuck you, Amazon.
Screw Amazon, but it's the easiest way for me to get books to our listeners.
I'm just kidding.
No, I totally agree with screw Amazon.
It's hard not to buy things from there, though. It really is.
On Facebook, James Benesh sent me a message letting us know that during our interview with Richard Kahn, there was one of us, not sure who, used the word aversion twice, but we meant the opposite based on the context of the conversation. So he said, you probably meant affinity. I understood that you meant affinity, but whoever it was, said aversion. So.
Fucking Benish.
Maybe it was me.
That's my brother.
I have an aversion to people who nitpick other people's vocabulary.
I appreciated the message because I was like, I wonder if I used the wrong word there.
I may have done that too. That's having Spanish-speaking parents screw up your grammar as you grow up.
It's nice, like when people do that in a nice way.
Yeah. I have an affinity for people who do it in a nice way.
That was very Canadian. That was a very Canadian thing to do.
So hopefully all of the listeners recognize the context of the conversation. On YouTube, our video titled "Jordan Peterson is an Idiot."
Oh God.
Oh, this should be good.
Actually, to fucking die. No, there's been so many comments. Most of them are mean. And they say that I talk too much, and I do, but it's mean.
This one's actually not bad. This one says from Maddie Cooper, and they said, Peterson is an anticlimactic bag of farts. Which I don't mind. That's an alright comment. On to new patrons. We got a new patron at the honorary Brainstorm crew member. So thank you, the flying spaghetti monster, sauce be upon him. I was going to actually mention that we also lost our biggest patron, so we need more people to step up and support the show. You can be a patron for as little as $1 a week for a bunch of extra content at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. And thank you to our top patrons, Destin Doesn't Suck That Much, Daryl Goosen, Aaron Young, William Driver, Positively Skeptical, and the Flying Spaghetti Monster, sauce be upon him. Being a top patron means you donate at the skeptic level, which is $5 per episode or higher. We have no new reviews, which is annoying because we've been going for almost 5 years, and I know shows that are like brand new that have twice as many or more reviews than we do. So go review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, or Podknife, anywhere. Plug stuff. Anybody have things to plug?
I have a thing to recommend.
You have a thing to recommend.
There is a talk on astronomy by a very famous Canadian astronomer named Vicky Caspi from McGill University. She's giving a talk on Wednesday, October 24th at the university at 7 p.m.
Cool.
It's a free public lecture, so it should be accessible to humans who aren't experts in astronomy. But she's known to be a really good speaker. Her research is super interesting, and I highly recommend people go. I have no skin in the game, but I think you should go. Unless there's so many people that I can't find a seat, in which case don't go. Yeah. But other than that, go.
If you go and you don't see Lisa, leave.
Well, no, if I'm like standing, you can give me your seat.
There you go. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank
All
you.
right, I have something to plug.
You have a thing to plug.
I would like to plug, as usual, the Center for Inquiry in Regina. I most recently noticed that this place got a ton better as soon as the former president stepped down. That guy was me. And the biggest problem was that I was too busy doing shit to lead it properly. So now we got a really cool guy in place who's also very busy, but he is definitely making time to make CFI a better place, more inclusive, more diverse, more routine events. So our goal is we just had a really sweet event that was family friendly. We went to the IMAX theater to watch a short documentary that was narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was cool. And then afterwards we had a non-family or non-kid friendly event where we went to Boston Pizza. We chatted for like 2-3 hours. It was amazing. The conversations that are had there at the Center for Inquiry are just the kind of thing that you don't really have on a daily basis. So
right.
It's really nice. And so, yeah, David Richards is the new president of the Center for Inquiry Regina, and I highly suggest you seek them out on Facebook or meetup.com. Come out to the events. We are planning on having a Festivus for the Rest of Us event either in December or January, which will definitely be kid-friendly. And so we'd like to see, 50 to 100 skeptics out there. That'd be sweet.
Cool. Sarah? You got anything?
No.
Dave?
My mind is mush right now. I just, there's so much going on. I can't even pinpoint what I want to talk about. So,
all right. I made sure to find a trailer and as many links as I could for that film that you recommended, that short documentary film.
Oh,
From Up North?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, it looked really interesting.
Today's a good day to talk about that too, because
it's
about residential school survivors. So it's a really short thing. Like it's just kind of a little piece.
Yeah, like 13 minutes is all I think.
Yeah. So,
but it was really interesting.
It's still screening. Like I say, I think it's in London next month or something. I'm not sure. It's played in pretty much every continent now, I think.
Cool.
But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it should be. I would think one should be able to find the actual thing online sometime, but at this time you can check out there's a CBC interview with the creator and the elder that was interviewed in that. And that was really good.
You can find lots about Noel Starblanket. He's all over the place.
Right.
That guy's quite busy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't think you'll ever see the film online, to be honest. Because, no. Quite often these films, like, they're proprietary, so they only get screened.
Right.
But we'll see. Maybe. Who knows?
It would be nice from my perspective just to increase its exposure to more people.
Yeah, I think so. It belongs to the film board. So
right.
So I guess at some point maybe that'll happen. Yeah.
And I recently had coffee on the internet with Stephanie Zvan for my Skeptic Voices podcast. So I will have that out soon. And we have a newsletter out every week for subscribers to that, to get new brainstorm stuff, new brainstorm information. Go to our website and click the sign up button. It's right next to that support button that you should also click. All right, let's cue that outro music. For all those things plus much more, you can check out the show notes at our website, brainstormblog.net, and our hosting page, thebrainstormpodcast.com. Thanks to our financial supporters, Kayla, Janet, Kim, Stephanie, Zach, the Utah Outcasts, Will, Aaron, Daryl, Destin Sucks, Bob Glenn, Destin Doesn't Suck That Much, Magnus, several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave, positively skeptical, Rob, Keith, the Podunk Polymath, Larry, and the Flying Spaghetti Monster, sauce be upon him. If you want to join them and help the show grow, then you can do that at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Or you can go and buy stuff at tpublic.com/stores/brainstorm-podcast-gear. Join us every 2 weeks on brainstormradio.net. Our next live show is on October 12th, and our guests are Kevin and Benedict from This Week in News with Kevin and Benedict. I want to give a big thanks to Dusty for joining us. You can find more of his stuff at cultofdusty.com, so make sure to check that out. Thank you to my panel, Lisa, Dan, Sarah, and Dave.
You're welcome.
I guess.
Thanks to Dave for our intro music. Thanks to Aaron Rabbi from the Embrace the Void podcast for doing the intro for our voiceover. You can find his stuff at voidpod.com. Thanks to Alex Capper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for our ads, and thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info page on our website, brainstormblog.net. Remember to give us a rating, a thumbs up, or a fave on your podcatcher of choice. Join our Facebook group, like our page, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our subreddit, sign up for our newsletter, share the show, and spread the word. The more you share, comment, and like our stuff, the more it helps the show grow. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Cory, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.